for David Wolper and NBC in 1980. And that kind of put a name to the person people had been seeing for so many years on commercials and, episodic television. They didn't really know who I was, but they knew my face. Well, all of a sudden, a name was put to that because I was on the cover of every, local television TV guide as Morgan Brittany, as Scarlett O'Hara, or as Vivian Leigh. And it was immediate that everybody just, oh, now I know who she is. Well, I had gotten married, I guess, in May of 1981. And I got a call when I got home from my agent who said, hey, they're doing an audition for Dallas. And I went, Dallas? I've heard of it, and they said, oh yeah, it's a really successful show. I said, well, I don't think I've seen it. And they said, all right, well, Victoria Principal is in it, and they're going to add a sister for her. And they don't exactly know what they're looking for. They're kind of going from 16 years old to maybe up to 25. And, you may as well go out on it. And I was not really in the frame of mind to go on an audition. I kind of wanted to settle in with my husband, and it was like, oh, I got to schlep over to MGM. I know this is going to, I was just not in the mood. So I got in the car. I went over there. Of course, it was typical. Back then, you had to go in, and everybody was there. I mean, every actress in the world with their 2 pages of dialogue. And, I'm sitting in this waiting room going, all right, okay, forever. And it was a 2-hour wait. So I finally got in there. Well, I had a bit of an attitude at that point. And I did my 2 lines of dialogue. And in there was Lenny Katzman, the CBS execs, the casting person. I mean, there must have been 8 people in that room. And I'm sitting in the center, and I do my dialogue. And Lenny says to me, I'll never forget, Lenny says to me, okay, that was really, really good, but could I try it another way? And I said, you know what? I really don't have time for this. I got to go. I got up and left. And I walked out and went, what did I just do? And I called my agent. I was with William Morris at the time, and I called my agent. I said, you guys, I am so sorry. I blew this audition. I know I was so rude, and I've never done that in my life. And he said, that's okay. They don't really know what they're going for, whatever. And I kind of put it in the back of my mind, but I thought, oh man, I don't know where that came from. And then about a week later, my agent calls me and says, well, you are in big contention here. They want you for this thing. I said, are you kidding me? And he goes, no, they liked what they saw. So I don't know. It's funny how things happen, but I know for sure that everybody in the world wanted that role because it was, it's a hit show. And later when I found out, because I started going into Dallas and going, wow, everybody loves this show. What the heck? What have I been missing? And, from there, it was meant to be, I guess.
Is there anyone else that we know of, like an actress that was in contention? Like, did you see someone there that's now like an actress we know, or someone that was rumored to be like?
Yeah, I believe Delta Burke was in serious contention. And I think, gosh, there was one other girl who was on a series at the time. I cannot remember her name right now, but I know Delta Burke was in contention, and her name had been talked about a lot. But I just don't know. It was so hard to figure what they wanted, because I think they wanted to see somebody walk in there and say, that's exactly what she needs to be. Because the dialogue was kind of, generic, and it didn't really have an edge to it, where Katherine did have an edge. And then they built upon that. And that seemed, I was only hired for 6 episodes. That was it. And I finished those 6 episodes and went on my merry way. And then I got a call about 6 months later, and they said the audience reaction is amazing. You've got to come back. And that turned into years, so.
I wonder if they thought that you walking out was like part of your audition, or no, but probably
Could
not, because
be.
she wasn't supposed to be, this manipulative woman that she became right during the audition. So
Isn't that funny? Because maybe they did, because they probably thought nobody in their right mind would walk out on a show like this. Maybe they did.
So like you didn't, even though it was after like Who Shot JR, and like you didn't realize like just the magnitude of this, because it was a big hit by the time you came on. I mean, it was the early years, but
huge hit. And it was, I think in the beginning, Dallas did not catch on right away. But then with Larry Hagman's character growing, and then all of the intrigue that went on, people started to talk about it around, in the office and going, did you see that? And I think I hit it right at when the momentum was really high, because you're right. It was after JR, and it was Kristen in the swimming pool. That's when I came in. And so everybody, it was number one, I think, at that point all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you, Katherine was so good at scheming, like, JR, Larry Hagman, that's one of the most scheming characters in TV history. Like, did you turn to Larry for advice? Like, did he offer advice of like, this is how to be a scheming, manipulative character on TV?
He was so funny. I loved working with Larry because he was just a hoot. All the time. And I remember in the makeup room, we'd go in the makeup room at about 6 o'clock in the morning on the days that we worked. And I was just looking, and I said, Larry, what am I going to do? She's getting meaner and meaner by the week. And he goes, darling, you're never going to get over that. They're going to make her so mean and so nasty, and everybody's going to hate you. And I said, well, Larry, nobody hates you. They love you. And he goes, yep. He says, they do, but they're not going to like you. And I said, well, what? I said, what is it? Can I bring any of that to Katherine to make her a little bit more? And he goes, no, you can't do that. He says she has to be really evil, because everybody loves Pam and Bobby. And the more conniving and evil you are, and the more you lose. And he said, unfortunately, you're going to lose in the end. And he said, so the more you lose, the more people are going to tune in to see what you do. And it was great advice, because we would love doing scenes together. Oh my gosh, it was just amazing. I loved it, because you're trying to out evil each other. So it was great.
And did you feel everyone hated Katherine? Because I didn't. I secretly loved Katherine. it was almost like you hate her, but you love to hate her, and that makes you love her, right?
It was funny, because I had, at the height, I remember there was an episode called The Letter. And the letter was, I tricked Pam into signing divorce papers or whatever, and she didn't know. And then I tell Bobby that I found it in the trash, and look what she did. And, and it was just, the epitome, you just want to strangle